Sinhala, also known as Sinhalese, is the native language of the Sinhalese people, who make up the largest ethnic group in Sri Lanka, numbering about 16 million. Sinhala is also spoken, as a second language by other ethnic groups in Sri Lanka, totaling about 3 million. It belongs to the Indo-Aryan branch of the Indo-European languages. Sinhala is one of the official and national languages of Sri Lanka. Sinhala, along with Pali, played a major role in the development of Theravada Buddhist literature. Sinhala has its own writing system, the Sinhala Alphabet, which is a member of the Brahmic family of scripts, and a descendant of the ancient Indian Brahmi script. The oldest Sinhala Prakrit inscriptions found are from the 3rd to 2nd century BCE following the arrival of Buddhism in Sri Lanka. The oldest existing literary works date from the 9th century CE. The closest relative of Sinhala is the language of the Maldives and Minicoy Island, Tavai. Etymology: Sinhala is a Sanskrit term. The corresponding Middle Indic word is ßiŋɦələ. The actual Sinhala term is ḥiṛiyu. The Sanskrit and the Middle Indic words have as their first element the word lion in the respective languages. According to legend, Sinhabahu or Zahabahu was the son of a princess of the Vanga kingdom and a lion. He killed his father and became king of Vanga. His son, Prince Vijaya, would emigrate from Bengal to Lanka and become the progenitor of the Sinhala people. Taking into account linguistic and mythological evidence, we can assume that the first element of the name of the people means lion. As for the second element la, local tradition connects it to the Sanskrit root la to seize, as to translate it lion seizer, or lion killer, or to Sanskrit loha Sinhala la blood, to have it mean lion blood. From a linguistic point of view, however, neither interpretation is convincing, so that we can only safely say that the word Sinhala is somehow connected to a term meaning lion. History: according to the Chronicle Mahavamsa, written in Pali, Prince Vijaya and his entourage merged with two exotic tribes of ancient India present in Lanka, the Yakor and Naga peoples. In the following centuries, there was substantial immigration from eastern India which led to an admixture of features of eastern Prakrits. Stages of historical development: the development of the Sinhala language is divided into four periods: Sinhala Prakrit, Proto-Sinhala, Medieval Sinhala, Modern Sinhala. Phonetic development: the most important phonetic developments of the Sinhala language include the loss of the aspiration distinction in plosives. The shortening of all long vowels in the modern language are due to borrowings and sandhi phenomena either after elision of intervocalic consonants or in originally compound words. The simplification of consonant clusters and geminate consonants into geminates and single consonants respectively, development of two, Western versus Eastern Prakrit features. An example for a Western feature in Sinhala is the retention of initial which developed into in the Eastern languages. An example of an Eastern feature is the ending e for masculine nominative singular in Sinhala Prakrit. There are several cases of vocabulary doublets, for example the words ma currency sa and ma currency kka, which both correspond to Sanskrit marker to the first poundika but stem from two regionally different Prakrit words makia and makika. Ecology: substratum influence in Sinhala. According to Geiger, Sinhala has features that set it apart from other Indo-Aryan languages. Some of the differences can be explained by the substrate influence of the parent stock of the Vedra language. Sinhala has many words that are only found in Sinhala, or shared between Sinhala and Vedra and not etymologically derivable from Middle or Old Indo-Aryan. Common examples are kola for leaf in Sinhala and Vedra, dola for pig in Sinhala and offering in Vedra. Other common words are rara for wild duck, and gala for stones. There are also high-frequency words denoting body parts in Sinhala, such as olava for head, kakula for leg, bala for neck and kalava for thighs, that are derived from pre-Sinhala languages of Sri Lanka. The author of the oldest Sinhala grammar, Siddhartha, written in the 13th century CE, recognized a category of words that exclusively belong to early Sinhala. The grammar lists Naramba and Columba as belonging to an indigenous source. Columba is the source of the name of the commercial capital Colombo. Affinities to neighboring languages: in addition to many Tamil loanwords, several phonetic and grammatical features present in neighboring Dravidian languages, setting today's spoken Sinhala apart from its northern Indo-Aryan siblings, bear witness to the close interactions with Dravidian speakers. However, formal Sinhala is more similar to Pali and medieval Sinhala. Some of the features that may be traced to Dravidian influence are the distinction between short e, o and longer, angstrom, the loss of aspiration, left-branching syntax, the use of the verbal adjective of ka'inava to say as a subordinating conjunction with the meanings that, and if. For example, I know that it is new. I do not know whether it is new. Foreign influences. As a result of centuries of colonial rule, contemporary Sinhala contains some Portuguese, Dutch and English loan words. Influences on other languages. Macanese language or Macau Creole is a Creole language derived mainly from Malay, Sinhala, Cantonese, and Portuguese, which was originally spoken by the Macanese community of the Portuguese colony of Macau. It is now spoken by a few families in Macau and in the Macanese diaspora. The language developed first mainly among the descendants of Portuguese settlers who often married women from Malacca and Sri Lanka rather than from neighboring China, so the language had strong Malay and Sinhala influence from the beginning. Numerals. Sinhala shares many features common to other Indo-European languages. Shared vocabulary includes the numbers up to 10, accents and dialects. Sinhala spoken in the southern province of Sri Lanka uses several words that are not found elsewhere in the country. This is also the case for the Central Province, North Central Province and Southeastern part. For native speakers, all dialects are mutually intelligible, and they might not even realize that the differences are significant. The language of the Vedra people resembles Sinhala to a great extent, although it has a large number of words which cannot be traced to another language. Pradiyar people use another dialect of Sinhala. Diglossia. In Sinhala there is distinctive diglossia, as in many languages of South Asia. The literary language and the spoken language differ from each other in many aspects. The written language is used for all forms of literary texts but also orally at formal occasions, whereas the spoken language is used as the language of communication in everyday life. As a rule, the literary language uses more Sanskrit-based words. The most important difference between the two varieties is the lack of inflected verb forms in the spoken language. The situation is analogous to one where Middle or even Old English would be the written language in Great Britain. The children are taught the written language at school almost like a foreign language. Sinhala language also has diverse slang. Some is regarded as taboo and most is frowned upon as non-scholarly. Writing system. The Sinhala alphabet, Sinhala Hidayah, is based on ancient Brahmi, as are most Indo-Aryan scripts. In design, the Sinhala alphabet is what is called an abugida, or alphasyllabary, meaning that consonants are written with letters while vowels are indicated with diacritics on those consonants, unlike English where both consonants and vowels are full letters, or Urdu where vowels need not be written at all. Also, when no diacritic is used, an inherent vowel either or, is understood, depending on the position of the consonant within the word. For example, the letter a paragraph sh on its own indicates ka either or. The various vowels are written a paragraph sha ka, a paragraph sha ka currency, a paragraph shaksi, a paragraph sha ki, a paragraph sha ka, a paragraph sha ku, a paragraph sha ka, a paragraph sha in registered trademark k, a paragraph sha shka, a paragraph sha ako, a paragraph sha ka. There are also a few diacritics for consonants, such as r. For simple without a vowel-cancelling diacritic called halkira ma is used, a paragraph shash k. Several of these diacritics occur in two forms, which depend on the shape of the consonant letter. Vowels also have independent letters, but these are only used at the beginning of words where there is no preceding consonant to add a diacritic to. The complete alphabet consists of 54 letters, 18 for vowels and 36 for consonants. However, only 36 are required for writing colloquial spoken Sinhala. The rest indicate sounds that have gotten lost in the course of linguistic change, such as the aspirates, are restricted to Sanskrit and Pali loan words. Sinhala is written from left to right and the Sinhala character set is only used for this one language. The alphabetic sequence is similar to those of other Brahmic scripts, AAA currency /angstrom, angstrom, EA, IO/angstrom, or K, KHG, G, R to the first C, CHJ, JH, a plus or minus A to the first, R to the first A, R to the first, R to the first H, A, AH, R to the first T, THD, DHNP, PHB, BHMYRLV, angstrom R to the first pound SHAF, phonology, the presence of so-called prenasalized consonants. A very short home-organic nasal is added before a voiced plosive. The nasal is syllabified with the onset of the following syllable, which means that the moraic weight of the preceding syllable is left unchanged. The pronunciation of unstressed short, which is not written in Sinhala orthography except when initial, is a schwa, a unregistered trademark. Morphology, nominal morphology, the main features marked on Sinhala nouns are case, number, definiteness and animacy. Cases, Sinhala distinguishes several cases. Next to the cross-linguistically rather common nominative, accusative, genitive, dative and ablative, there are also less common cases like the instrumental. The exact number of these cases depends on the exact definition of cases one wishes to employ. For instance, the endings for the animate instrumental and locative cases, Asia and law micron ge unregistered trademark, are also independent words meaning with the hand, and near respectively, which is why they are not regarded to be actual case endings by some scholars. Depending on how far an independent word has progressed on a grammaticalization path, scholars will see it as a case marker or not. The brackets with most of the vowel length symbols indicate the optional shortening of long vowels in certain unstressed syllables. Number marking, in Sinhala animate nouns, the plural is marked with O, E, a long consonant plus U, or with La, E. Most of the inanimates mark the plural by subtractive morphology. Loan words from English mark the singular with eq unregistered trademark, and do not mark the plural. This can be interpreted as singulative. On the left-hand side of the table, plurals are longer than singulars. On the right-hand side, it is the other way round, with the exception of PRE unregistered trademark street. Note that, plus animate lexemes are mostly in the classes on the left-hand side, while animate lexemes are most often in the classes on the right hand. Indefinite article, the indefinite article is ek for animates and arc for inanimates. The indefinite article exists only in the singular, where its absence marks definiteness. In the plural, definiteness does not receive special marking. Verbal morphology, Sinhala distinguishes three conjugation classes. Spoken Sinhala does not mark person, number or gender on the verb. In other words, there is no subject-verb agreement. Syntax, left-branching language, which means that determining elements are usually put in front of what they determine. SOV word order, common to most left-branching languages. As a left-branching language, there are no prepositions, only postpositions. Example, under the book translates to poti unregistered trademark ye unregistered trademark, literally book under. There are almost no conjunctions as English that or whether, but only non-finite clauses that are formed by the means of participles and verbal adjectives. Example, the man who writes books translates to poti li unregistered trademark ni unregistered trademark mincha, literally books writing man. An exception to this is statements of quantity which usually stand behind what they define. Example, the four flowers translates to malhati unregistered trademark re unregistered trademark, literally flowers four. On the other hand, it can be argued that the numeral is the head in this construction, and the flowers the modifier, so that a better English rendering would be a floral foursome. Sinhala has no copula. I am rich translates to mame unregistered trademark posati, literally I rich. There are two existential verbs, which are used for locative predications, but these verbs are not used for predications of class membership or property assignment, unlike English's. Semantics, there is a four-way deictic system. There are four demonstrative stems me here, close to the speaker, a there, close to the person addressed, are unregistered trademark there, close to a third person, visible, and da there, close to a third person, not visible. Discourse. Sinhala is a pro-drop language. Arguments of a sentence can be omitted when they can be inferred from context. This is true for subjecta euro as in Italian, for instance euro, but also objects and other parts of the sentence can be dropped in Sinhala if they can be inferred. In that sense, Sinhala can be called a super pro-drop language, like Japanese. Example, the sentence, Koidai unregistered trademark EA, literally, where went, can mean, where did you go? See also. Sinhala slang, notes. References. Further reading, Gare, James, Sinhala and Other South Asian Languages, New York, 1998. Gare, James and Palillo, John C. Sinhala, Ma 1/4 NCHEN, Newcastle 1997. Geiger, Wilhelm, A Grammar of the Sinhalese Language, Colombo 1938. Karunatilake, W.S. An Introduction to Spoken Sinhala, Colombo 1992, several new editions. Clough, B. Sinhala English Dictionary, 2nd New and Enlarged Edition, New Delhi, Asian Educational Services, 1997. Gare, James. Studies in South Asian Linguistics. New York, Oxford University Press. ISBN A0-19-509521-9. Van Driem, George. Languages of the Himalayas, an Ethno-Linguistic Handbook of the Greater Himalayan Region. Brill Academic Publishers. ISBN A90-04-10390-2. Indrapala, Karijisu. The Evolution of an Ethnic Identity, the Tamils in Sri Lanka c. 300 BCE to c. 1200 CE. Colombo, Vijayappa. ISBN A978-955-1266-72-1. External links, Charles Henry Carter. A Sinhalese English Dictionary. Colombo, The Ceylon Observer Printing Works. London, Probstein and Colorado, 1924. Siṁhala Sabdakosakar Yamsaya. Sanksita Siṁhala Sabdakajaya. Colombawa Samsktika Katayuta Pilabanda Departamentova, 2007-2009. Sinhala English Dictionary and Sinhala to Hindi Language Translator, Kapruka Sinhala Dictionary, Majura Online English Sinhala Dictionary and Language Translator, Sinhala Dictionary Resources Online, FKI, The Sinhala Encyclopedia, USA Foreign Service Institute Sinhala Basic Course, Sinhala English Dictionary for Android, Sinhala Dictionary, Sinhala Script, Sinhala Dictionary.